Shalom, shalom, chavrim. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. By the way, guys, we are also recording this just in the event we were to have any types of problem with our live stream broadcast here. It's kind of interesting. I had 3 thumbs up on the live broadcast with not even showing anybody actually viewing. That lets you know that there's a lot of things happening in the background. So anyway, God bless you for joining. And got some very interesting things going to be speaking about tonight. We're going to be getting into a little bit of everything from a massive U.S. Convoy of military equipment going to the YPG. This is the Kurdish fighters inside of Syria. Major divide is happening in the world today, and we're going to try to pick up on some of this information tonight. We're going to be looking at that. We're going to be actually also, I'm going to touch the TSA naked scanner issue for a moment tonight. My wife, when she was in her route, she's not made it back home as of yet, but just going through the TSA naked scanners in America. This is just really a very perverted thing that they're doing there. They're abusing their passengers, subjecting them to groping is what it really comes down to. My wife really felt violated by opting out of this naked scanner, and I can understand why. It's still, no testing has really proven how much radiation are you really being subjected to? What is the long-term effects, the cancer, things like that. In fact, let me just go ahead and hit that while we're actually on this here. The TSA, this is, I don't know. I really don't get it. Israel does not even use the naked scanners as of yet. Is it because of a money issue? Is it because they want to create more cancer for patients? If you go into the hospital and you go through a CT scan, especially if you're dealing with cancer, you highly elevate your risk of those cancer cells really going haywire in your body. And this is one reason why my wife is definitely, I don't want her going through this, not to mention because of the health risks there, but because she's already been battling the tumor there, and she's just now coming into remission, and we thank God for that. And of course, she's still got a lot more treatment to go through to make sure that this is totally killed. But just completely disregard. And so instead of putting you through a metal detector like Israel would do, or questioning you thoroughly, or searching your bags, etc., things like that, no, they got to go through the groping process. They just, it's almost like it's a perversion. It's just really, this is not something that we have need of. I remember working for a nuclear power facility once before, so I understand nuclear radiation very, very well. And it's definitely not something that is safe. I didn't do it for a long time, did it for about a year, but that was when I was much, much younger. But it's a very troubling scenario that's happening in America. It takes away the dignity of the passenger. It's almost as if they're preparing the people for the future. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in there, and especially because my wife just, and I don't blame her, very, very much violated the way they do these things here. No couth at all. Going back here, though, the United States has moved a convoy of 200 trucks loaded with weapons and equipment for the units of the protection of the people's YPG and Tel Bidar region there. I can't help but wonder. You have to understand, the Iranians and the Kurds have had a long history of opposition to begin with. The Iranians have been more open to helping the Kurds here more recently. In fact, the Iranians actually sided with the Kurds against Turkey and were very vocal about Turkish government's incursion inside of Afrin in northern Syria. But now the U.S. moving in all this military equipment, what's going on? Is this a preparation for taking down Damascus? Is this a preparation for maybe even a war with Iran? Maybe the YPG has come into an agreement that they would help the U.S. if there becomes a ground war. The YPG is a very good ground fighting force. Without question, they're very good. So I don't know what's happening as of yet. We're going to kind of watch this, see what happens. Also, I want to thank our moderators tonight, Ashley, Jesse. I see you. I don't know if Sister Jennifer has made it in as well, but God bless you, girls, for being here. Thank you so much. Let's get somebody else in the room. Thank you. I hated to see that 666 up there. I know that's not what the 666 really is, but I just don't like the number regardless. Anyway, so moving on as well, U.S. pullout from Iran deal rattles Turkey's Syria agenda, and that's because Erdogan had been planning on taking down not only Bashar al-Assad out of power, but also wanting to take the Kurds out. Now the U.S. is backing them up with more and more military equipment. Is there going to come a conflict between Turkey and that of the U.S.? Now, I also know, and I didn't actually pull this up, but I know that there's an article that came out today. I think Sister Rosa sent that to me. I don't have a chance to open it at this point now. I forgot about going back to look at that. Anyway, God bless you, Dr. Rosa, for that information about, or maybe it was my wife, so I don't know which one. So, both of them are good about sending me a lot of information. And but anyway, the Turkish government is once again calling for taking Jerusalem. Everybody's always looking for Russia to be the big bad boogeyman that takes down Israel. But it's not Russia, it's Turkey. And of course, Turkey is really being led by, who, just a little bit west. Go to Patreon if you want to know those type things. We go into a lot deeper. In fact, if you've been to Patreon lately, we put out a new video there. I go into those three unclean spirit-like frogs, something the Lord laid on my heart. And I have to really thank a brother. I know he probably is not even on Patreon, but I want to thank, there was a brother that sent me a message here on Israeli News Live, sent me an email one day, and he asked me, Brother Steve, what do you think about those three unclean spirit-like frogs? Could this have something to do with the reptilian race? Now, if I didn't get to say that right, my brother, forgive me. I may even be watching live tonight. I don't even know, but he was. I have to really credit him for causing me to really think about it, and it crossed my mind continually. Well, then the Lord was dealing with me on a totally different matter, and I brought that information out on Patreon. And I will say this much about those three unclean spirit-like frogs. If you look at Egypt's history, Egypt was into frog worship. Believe it or not, yes, they were. They were into frog worship for the fertility and everything, all those type things there. Well, we did a very special broadcast on Patreon for those of you that would like to go and join up, be a part of that, patreon.com/Israeli News Live. I think it'll be a blessing to you. But anyway, so the U.S. pullout from Iran deal rattles Turkey's Syria agenda, as well as what's going on over in Israel. Speaking about Israel, I wanted to share something with you guys. And this is really, listen, I always like to try to keep a middle road on what's going on. I realize there were Palestinians that were killed over in Gaza, but I also realize, too, that Hamas keeps on agitating the situation. We've got a neighborhood a half a mile across that fence right there. I know that people say it's an unbalanced situation there. It's unbalanced because Israel is shooting the bystanders there that are protesting. But this is not just a peaceful protest. It is. Maybe it started off that way originally. And of course, it didn't help none when Israel began to shoot some of the protesters when it first began. But this turned into massive bonfires. This has turned into Molotov cocktails. This has turned into pipe bombs being thrown at the fence. This has turned into cutting the fence open, trying to get through the fence. And so I bring these things up. And like I say, I'm very neutral in when I report on things. If something is not good, I'm going to tell you. If Israel has done something wrong, I'll tell you. But if the Palestinians are doing it wrong too, I'm going to tell you that side as well. I'm not here just to take one side or the other. All right? Let's be honest with people as best we know how. Well, this particular, Zaman Belach, actually brought out this particular video where Palestinians are supposedly, these are the martyrs here that are supposedly laying here dead, and they're exploiting it. You know, I mean, the Palestinians in Gaza, what do you want to exploit this for? This is really a shame. I want you to see this. I don't know how well you guys can see this on our live stream, but I'll put the link in there so you can see it below. Watch what happens. One of the dead guys here, right? Whoops, sorry about that. I didn't know the volume was up so loud. Watch what happens here. Watch closely. There he is. Lifts his head up. He's going to run his arm up through there. As the guy says on the video here, his nose must have just kept itching. But yet this is supposed to be martyrs. How many of them are dead? How many of them are alive? Well, maybe all of them are alive. Maybe it's just a staged act to begin with. You know, listen, maybe the figures are being staged. This is what brings a negative side to the residents of Gaza. Okay, yeah, maybe there are people that are being killed. I understand that, and I realize, but at the same time, the situation continues to intensify. And you know, I'm going to point out things just as honest as I possibly can get it. But this is a crying shame right here. What's happening here? That instead of just being honest, showing what you're dealing with, the people that have died there, and giving maybe realistic numbers of what's really happened, but instead you're taking people that are not dead, very well alive. Pull it back to where it's at again here. You'll see his arm go up again. There he is. See, right there. It's this guy right here. He's moving his head, lifting it up, and then you're going to watch his arm come up, and it looks like he's trying to scratch his nose or something. See, there he goes. There he goes. Moves that hand up to his face. Maybe his beard itched. Who knows what it was? But he's supposed to be a martyr. All right. So listen. You know, I know that Israel's not perfect. The Israeli people are not perfect. They make mistakes as well. And I realize there's instigation on both sides. I know that's true. And on the Palestinian side, you're being instigated by the Catholic Church. That's being pretty bold, but I back that up with Guglielmo's report. Cardinal Taron said there will be no peace in Jerusalem until the status quo for all the holy sites are adequately resolved. Well, you're definitely keeping your word, aren't you? Keeping your promise that there won't be any peace, you know? And it doesn't help matters none either. You know, when the protest first began, and several people got shot. Well, quite a few of them got wounded as well from the live fire. But the thing is again, it is turned far from a peaceful protest. It's far from it at this point now. So I hate to see people die. I don't want to see Palestinians die. I don't want to see Israelis die, and I definitely want to see them break through the fence and be in a massacre on the Israeli side. So, you know, when I saw this here, you know, hey, I don't push things under a rug. We just got to tell it the way it is, and that's really a shame. So when you're a dead Palestinian martyr, but your nose keeps itching, that is a very, very interesting thing. Check us out on Twitter too, by the way, guys. There's a lot of people that's got my name on Twitter that is not me. All right, I don't know who it is. All right, I just say this, but our Twitter account, I better not lose that, or I won't be able to share that with you guys. Let me keep that up. Sorry about that. But it should be Israeli News Live. Stephen, I actually have to go by Dinu, the name that I write books under, my pen name. Moving on forward as well, this is something that I really want to share with you guys. It's very troubling to me. Again, you know, the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is something that I support, because Jerusalem should be the capital of Israel. And I'm not for dividing the city either, but I'm not for throwing the Palestinian people out, so long as they want to live in peace together. That's the way it should be. And that's the way it used to be before the Intifadas all got started, which, by the way, were instigated as well by, you know who, someone kind of west of Israel. We'll kind of leave it like that. Nonetheless, I do believe this is a New World Order agenda to what we're seeing right now going on. We are seeing the embassy being put there. It is creating a lot of tension around the world. But look, Turkey said they're going to put their embassy in East Jerusalem, where the Palestinians should have a capital. This was already negotiated with Rome long ago under Shimon Peres. It was signed as there was a two-state deal actually signed in secret by Ariel Sharon when he was prime minister. We've shared that with you with Simantov. You guys know that it's true. You've seen Simantov. He was here on our broadcast. We interviewed him. My wife actually interviewed him in Israel. I shared that with you, where Simantov says to us that Ariel Sharon literally signed the two-state deal. This is why we see all the infrastructure in Jerusalem. This is why this is all happening. This is actually why President Trump is moving the embassy to Jerusalem too. It's not because President Trump is just trying to make it look good. I appreciate, I know a lot of people love Trump. All right, I get that. But that's not really the reason, guys. It's not. I mean, we're being duped into believing something that's not true. You know, the reason why they're wanting to use this for the unrest is to bring about a war. That war, in turn, will also drive certain Jews out. And maybe even it will affect Jerusalem to where then they can justify making sure the Palestinians get East Jerusalem, as it was promised to Yasser Arafat, reported by Joel Beinerman, Barry Chamish, Guliam Meadi. All these journalists have already brought these things out. Dr. Stern as well. All right, and yet even more journalists have brought these things out. So this is not my words. I'm just telling you what's already been shown. Now, but what gets me though, here we have the opening of the embassy, Donald Trump's daughter there to announce the opening of the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. But it's already at a U.S. building there in Jerusalem, so it's nothing new. It's
on behalf of the 45th President of the United States of America, we welcome you officially and for the first time to the Embassy of the United States here in Jerusalem, the capital of Israel.
Now, the only thing that was really done was they put a placard up. There's already a U.S. office there. I don't forget exactly if it's a consulate's office or whatever it was, but it has now become the embassy. But here's what really troubles me. And this is something my wife brought up to me originally. And then it made me think of a scripture over in the book of John that nobody seems to pay attention to. But, you know, I appreciate the fact that Trump moves the embassy there, even though I do believe that this is part of a New World Order agenda. And again, though, I still support the embassy being there. In fact, you know, it should be the capital of Israel. It should be where all embassies are, not East Jerusalem, but all embassies should be somewhere in Jerusalem. But they're going to internationalize the city. They're going to take and give the old city over to a United Nations force. They're going to give the Vatican hegemony over the old city to safeguard the holy sites, as it were. East Jerusalem will go to the Palestinians, according to Shimon Peres's agreement with the Pope of Rome, Pope John Paul II. And then, of course, the nations will begin to move their embassies there. But I don't think it's going to happen until after they do this one last big war here in the Middle East to help really stir everything up, and then also to help drive people into certain directions so it's easier to bring about what they call a peace, and as well to bring about an antichrist on the earth here. This is what's troubling to me, all right? Now, I want to share something with you, though, that troubled my wife, and then it really caught my attention. She started saying, notice everything that they're doing in Jerusalem about Trump. All right. Trump minister plans to name Western Wall train station after Trump. Okay. Oh, didn't need to make a Skinner part there. About open alongside the new U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. All right. He's the Don. Israel goes crazy for Trump ahead of U.S. embassy opening in Jerusalem, and even renames top football club in his honor. My wife made a point to me, and it really got my attention. She said, I'm not against the embassy either. As far as, I think she's more along the lines the same way I would think as well. Nothing wrong with an embassy being there, but we both know what it's really there for. But the thing is, my wife says, all this stuff about Trump is they're glorifying Trump to a point as if he were God. And the sad thing is, the one man that truly came and made such a major difference for Israel that will for future generations, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ, Yeshua. Is there even a street named after him? Well, maybe there is a Yeshua street, but it won't be because of Jesus of Nazareth. It would instead be because the Israeli government just uses it for the word salvation. But I'm not aware of anything. As far as I know, there's no Jesus Square or Yeshua Square. There's no, to my knowledge, there's nothing in the city of Jerusalem other than the churches that the Vatican has there and other different churches there. There's no adorning of the one man that should have been adorned, if anybody was to be adorned in the city. But instead, President Trump moves the embassy there, something that was agreed upon by the United States back in the 90s, but he actually physically does it because this is the time it's supposed to be done. And the world goes crazy. Israel goes berserk over it. Well, you know what? How many of you guys, you probably already figured it out. What about what John says here? All right, John chapter 5. And you have not his word abiding in you, for whom he hath sent, him you believe not. This is Jesus talking to the Israelis of his day. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of God in you. I am come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom you trust. When I read verse 45 as well, that had a heavy impact in my heart. The mere fact that came to my mind, and maybe this scripture is applying to the Antichrist. I don't think that Trump is the Antichrist, so don't get me wrong on this, Like I said, maybe he means well. And this is not Trump going out there per se trying to be someone. I know he does like to be gratified and everything else. He wants to be acknowledged for what he's done. I realize that. All right. But it's the Israeli people. Yeshua came in his Father's name, and you would not receive him. You would not name a single street after him. See? But another came in his own name, and him you did honor. Him you will receive. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Notice what he says, verse 45, though. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom you trust. You don't think Moses won't blast this when he comes? You think Moses is just going to sit back and say, oh, that's a great job, Trump, you're a good Cyrus. Wonderful Cyrus, we should make a coin after you and put your image on Cyrus's right alongside with Cyrus. No, Moses would never do that. For one, it's against the very commandment that God gave him not to do engraven images. So I don't see Moses ever doing this, not even for a second. He does go on to say, though, for had you believed Moses, you would have believed me. See? For he wrote of me. Moses will come back and he will accuse you right to your face for what you've done. Now, the thing is, the nice thing is, it'll be a time of eye-opening for Israel as well. This is the day that I'm looking for. This is the time that Israel needs. They need their eyes open. We don't need to be glorifying a man, which even what Trump is doing, as I said, I really believe it's a New World Order agenda. And although it may be done with good intent, it's not what's going to be the outcome. It will bring about the coming of the Messiah. It will bring about the coming of the two witnesses to get things straightened out. But do you think the people will receive it when they do come? Do you think they'll even believe that they're Moses and Elijah here in this day here? Or for those that believe it's Enoch and Elijah, do you really think that they're going to believe it or even to receive it? Or do you think they'll just condemn them? Because they'll say things that doesn't go along with their politics or their way of thinking scripturally. You know, I heard that John Hagee was in Jerusalem, I think, when all this was going down. It reminded me of his letter that he wrote for an apology to the Vatican. He realized the greater good that the Vatican is serving. John, I'm very sad to see that you sold out and you went the way you did. One time you really stood for what was true. Maybe you did it under duress. You still get the fame and popularity. But sometimes maybe we should take our way with the despised few. Might be in a better standing with God in that case. Anyway, I just wanted to share these insights with you. Also, Infowars. I've got to play a little clip here from Infowars here. Confirmed Hillary staged Benghazi to ship guns to Al-Qaeda in Syria. Fox News has now officially confirmed that what Infowars has been reporting about for over 4 years. Clinton staged Benghazi to ship guns into Syria and to the terror organization Al-Qaeda. Not only guns, but what, I don't know if Alex knows this, but the sarin gas as well. And by the way, the OPC just came out and has confirmed that chemical sarin gas was used back in February, but of course they don't say which side used it. That could be another reason why the U.S. is sending so much military equipment in. I think they're getting ready to take Assad down. Maybe Iran will be the pretext, but Assad going down is the ultimate goal. Listen to what Alex has to say here real quick, guys.
Well, you get tomorrow's news today here at Infowars.com with Tosh Plumley, one of the CIA men flying the aircraft. And then, who else do we have on? Oh, that's right, Colonel Schaefer, saying that Benghazi was an arms deal gone bad and that Hillary wanted 3 warehouses shipped into where? Syria. Well, Fox News Today this morning broke it in a big, long 10-page article. I gave the U.S. trucks and ammunition to Al-Qaeda when the weapons came out of Libya, and it's all right there for everybody. Isn't that interesting?
Now, as far as Alex Jones, I know there's some people who don't like Alex very well. I don't get into that part there. If I'd have got it from Fox, I'd have given it to you straight from Fox as well. I just happened to see this up here, so I wanted to make sure that I got this up as we were coming on. Tonight, to me, is an important issue, and again, it confirms what we're seeing going along there. So anyway, guys, this is just kind of a wrap-up of everything tonight. Thank you for watching, those of you here on live stream as well. I'm probably going to take the biblical side of this and add it to the New Institute, edit it out later because we did record this here. If anyone is having problems with this video, let me know in the comments. We can always reload it from the way we record, because we recorded the entire thing here in the studio as well, and I could upload it in that way for you guys. But I know you guys like to also catch us live. I always appreciate the live audience there. And listen, I hear that we get a bunch of trolls in as well, you know, so moderators, if we get trolls in here that just got to deal with, go ahead and deal with it. Don't worry about it. You know, we need this to be a good, godly place to begin with. Israeli News Live is not just a news broadcast. We are also, we get seriously, we believe in biblical prophecy, things like that. So you have to understand, that's the way this channel started. It's a prophetic impact news site. So we do ask for those of our friends that are visiting that maybe you're not a believer, but we appreciate you being here. But also, though, we don't want to get into a situation where the respect for what we believe is also being trampled on as well. If you have a comment of criticism and it's not necessarily to my liking, but yet it's done in appropriately and with respect, and we don't have a problem with publishing something like that. But if you're just here to troll, or if you're here to sit there and try to rush everybody over to some other propaganda channel or something like that, then no. Our moderators, they are there to take care of that and to remove those things. And I really don't like to promote other videos, other channels, because we don't have time in the chat room here to be able to determine whether or not they're good, whether or not they're false. You know, and I feel it's important that we safeguard the people that are watching here. There are times in YouTube on the comments that will approve a video that comes through, especially if it gets caught up in spam that has a video there, but we kind of go and check it out to make sure that it's not something that's just going to cause more confusion. Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you for watching. Visit our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org. I got to get back into writing articles in there, but definitely if you feel in your heart, if it's a blessing to you, support the channel. Show that it matters to you what we're doing, because it matters to us if we do it regardless. So anyway, but we thank you for your support when you're able to help us out. God bless you and shalom. Thank you, moderators. God bless you for being here tonight, sisters. And we will probably skip tomorrow night live, but the day after, well, actually, no, we might go live tomorrow night as well. But don't forget Shabbat Live. Those of you that like the biblical insights, biblical teachings, Friday night, Noon Institute. It's not on Israeli News Live, it's on Noon Institute. Check it out over there. Get over there and take out a look at the Noon Institute. And we are going to be teaching about women. Their biblical place in the Bible. You'd be surprised what Brother Steve believes about these things here. And I'm sure it'll be a blessing to women. It'll set some women free rather than being in bondage, because Yeshua never came to put you in bondage. Okay? Anyway, blessings to you all. That is Friday night, 2 nights from now. Shalom, shalom.